Hello once again, guys. It's Darren Langille, CEO, Redline Real Estate Group, and I'm gonna just wait a few minutes just to see if anybody is popping on. Live is fun, and if somebody's around, I will definitely be trying to tune in and seeing if I can comment along the way with you. So, but again, it is that time of the month, right? It's the beginning time of the month, and this is when I just have completed kind of our sales data analysis about what happened in May, right? When I look at this, I look at what happened in May, but also, again, was there any trends that have started to form or not? So that's what I wanted to chat with you about. Last month I did this. We had great success. We were on for about 17 minutes. That was way too long, but yet some of you stuck through, so I appreciate that. Today I'm going to make it a lot more clean and concise, and it will be quicker for you as well. So yeah, so watch for that, guys, and yeah, listen up. So again, we like to start with kind of the state of the union, right? And a couple key points about what's going on currently and the state of the union. So one thing to note, for the first time since June of 2015, so 2 full years now, all 8 districts in Calgary in the detached market saw year-over-year increases in price. So that's a long time coming, but it's really nice to see that's happened. It's showing, basically, what does that say? That means we are well on our way to a full recovery in the detached market segment. Again, I've been kind of ringing this bell all year long, but now again we finally crested that point where every single district, all 8 districts, if you can see this, around, I can't even do this backwards, there we go, all 8 districts have had that, so really neat to see. Another thing, a key item about the State of the Union, I was speaking earlier to my clients and my listing clients about this micro market segment we had, which was extremely low inventory earlier in the year. That has changed. Right? Early in the year, the inventory was really low. In that early spring market, I was telling sellers, get on the market. And the reason that was is because you're going to win that supply-demand equation in a good way. Well, now, as expected, inventory has started to climb as we trend towards the full summer months. And we're basically at the same point as we were last year for inventory. So this micro moment that you could have had to get multiple offers, to have a lot of buyers through in a quick amount of time that we were seeing in that kind of middle between Q1 and Q2 has now kind of gone away. We're back to a balanced market, and us as agents should be very aware of this, that don't price as if it was that micro market. Price smarter and price based on kind of a balanced market scenario. The other big thing about who's stirring our drink here in Calgary, and we know it's the detached market, but 65%, a full whopping 65% of all sales that were recorded in May were in that detached market segment. That is its highest level since 2012. So that's a huge amount of trades just in that one segment. So we've got detached, we've got attached, we've got semi-detached, we've got apartment, we've got rural, but the detached market alone took 65% of all the trades. So lots of optimism in this marketplace for detached. And citywide, we literally only have an inventory of about 2 months. So that's awesome. And days on market is about 36. Hey, Amory, nice to see you. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for tuning in. Next, I wanted to go into a little bit another segment called most interesting things to note. So we talked already about the State of the Union being driven by the detached market. But another market's doing really well this year that we kind of might not have been fully aware of, and that's the semi-attached home market. So what is a semi-attached home? For those that don't know, it's basically just a house that shares one wall, right? So that's infills. I know, Amory, this is great news for you since you do a lot of those. Duplexes, and mostly inner city type stuff, right? This market's had a really hard time selling last year, and we saw discounts because developers really weren't that interested, or they had a ton of inventory to sell through last year that was very difficult. Now we're seeing a much better uptick, and that semi-attached market is doing very well. When I say very well, it is, let me just check my stats again. Yeah, 6 of the 8 markets in Calgary are seeing positive appreciation. It's the best overall performing segment as far as appreciation goes, because the average is 2.61% year over year increase. So that's a great news story. The detached market, which I said was doing really, really well, its average is only 1% appreciation. So that semi-attached market's doing fantastic. Another thing to note that I wanted to show you a graph on, obviously the positive news is the semi and the detached. The not so positive news is still that apartment segment and the row housing segment. So I'm going to flip the camera around and hopefully this works well. I'm just going to move something. So there we go. Flip you over. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, I will scroll and I will tell you what I want you guys to see. So like last month, there's a bit of a tale of 2 markets going on. And as I scroll up, you will see that in this graph here, and this is a year over year, basically price growth comparison. And what you're seeing is 2 different types of markets, right? Half this graph is up, half this graph is down. This apartment segment here that you can see my cursor around, this is the apartment segment showing that year over year, pretty much every part of the city is dropped, and dropped in some pretty big ways. We're also seeing it here in the row housing. Again, everything's negative. But the positives we talked about at the beginning are this, guys, is the detached market is doing well. Some of it's doing really, really well. And the West right now is having the best recovery that we've seen. And that makes sense. People's stability downtown is much stronger, and again, a lot of the West side is fairly affluent, so they are confident and able to buy. And then the other market here is that semi-detached that we just talked about. So again, you're seeing it's just a completely tale of 2 cities, guys, the difference between what's going on here in Calgary. I wanted to show you one other graph here on page 6. This data is also available to consumers online if you wanted to check it out at CREB, but it's just the analysis behind it and how this matters to you is that I wanted to talk about. This one here is showing the month of supply. So again, kind of further to my comment about detached, attached versus row and apartments, this is showing a lot about what's going on with months of supply. So detached is very low, right? All across the board, we're doing well. But what we don't see is that positivity in the apartment segment. So really across the board, you're looking at kind of 6 months of supply. As you can see, the row homes are a little bit better. A little bit worse off than the semi-detached, and the semi-detached is better, is just a little bit behind the detached. So those 2 graphs I wanted you to see, so you can really see visually what the heck I'm talking about and the differences. Sometimes this is about 3-fold, apartment to detached, just so you know. So if you are looking to sell an apartment this year or row home, you're going to have to be patient. The other one here is on page 8 if you are following things. I'm going to scroll down. Oh, I just skipped it. It's this guy here. Now this one I'm going to zoom in because there's a lot going on with this one, that it's kind of a very subtle piece of data that I think a lot of people aren't understanding, but it's a positive thing. So it's this graph I want you guys to pay attention to. And the big differences here is, red is this year, yellow is last year, green is 2015. Those are the 3 years I'm caring about right now, because that's since we hit the peak and what we've been doing since. There's a subtle difference, and I don't know if you're noticing it, but right around here, in the $500,000 to $599,000 price point and upwards, what we're seeing is the red graph, the red graph, the red graph, the red graph. It's higher than, this is 2015, and higher than 2016. So this year, what we're seeing is that we're seeing sales in the price points of $500,000 and up, beating everything from last year and the year before. So what that tells me, versus when you look at it from 500,000 and below, there's something unique happening, is that green bar is still higher. So that means 2015 numbers for 500,000 and below were doing better 2 years ago than they are today. but now the higher price points are doing better now than they were then. So what does that tell you? It's a bit of a shift going on, and that's why we're seeing this price change happening and the positivity around detached, obviously, and the semi-detached market. So it's that tipping point as we get across the average price points for the city. When you start to see us sell more of those year over year, we know that graph and the wave is kind of trading towards higher pricing, and that's good for us, because we all would love to have a little bit more equity in our properties. So yeah, something that's a very neat one I wanted you to see that most people are going to be will miss. The other thing I wanted to whip you over to, I'm going to flip you back to me because you're not going to be looking at this anymore. I don't know if you like to see me or you want to see the screen, but nonetheless, you're stuck with me now. So the other thing I wanted to mention as well, I do a lot of data analysis on price ranges just to get a sense for what's going on and which price ranges are jumping versus this time last year and versus as a whole this time versus last year, not just month over month, but year over year. And again, to look at that data that I just talked about, it's basically showing that for the majority of properties, 600,000 and above, we are seeing nearly, on average, about 40% increase in sales this year over last year. So that's not just a little bit, that's a lot. The smallest market segment would be the 7 to 799 range. It's only getting 34% increase, but heck, that's a lot. But yeah, 500, 600,000, you're seeing 41% above, 50% above, 55% above in the 8 to 899 range. So guess where those are? That's infills, right? That's infills across the northwest and the southwest. You're seeing much more sales activity now. So that's great news for developers and everything like that. You're also seeing it in the luxury price points. So the $1 million to $1.25 million, 46% more sales so far this year than last year. The $1.25 million to $1.1499, another big price point, 32% increase. So some big numbers there. Even the 1.75 to 2 million price point range, you're seeing a 25% increase in sales. So again, that's trading. More of the higher end homes are trading. That's good news for everybody. So yeah, the other thing I wanted to hit on that everybody usually likes is hottest communities. So what does the hottest community mean? Well, I look at things like how many sales have happened in relation to new listings. I also look at what's their overall inventory, right? What's the month of supply that each of these communities are having? And as always, there's a group of communities, both small and large, that are doing really, really well. That if you're a seller in one of these markets, you need to know about it because you can price a little differently and make sure your agents are looking deep and looking local and not just giving you general stats. Or if you're an agent out there and you want to say, well, where am I going to get a little bit more bit of business? Well, these are some great ones to go and chase. So one of them is Bonavista Downs. It had an incredible month. It hasn't sold that many this year, but literally about 70% of the sales happened this year. 2.5 times more than its normal month sold throughout May. And it's actually leading with the least amount of supply right now. It's got less than half a month of supply of inventory. It makes sense. It's a great price point, great value there, great accessibility, etc. Another 3 communities that kind of all landed in about the same amount: Charleswood, Deer Run, and the Hamptons. So kind of all over the place, right? Inner city, 90s, down south. All 3 of those had super strong months and sold nearly twice the amount of property they typically do in their given month, and that was just in May. Now, another one that I wanted to hit on was Edgemont. I consider Edgemont one of more of those larger communities. The reason for that is because it just has more trades. So when you were trying to compare these little markets that might have a great month and it looks like they're supercharged, but these bigger markets that sell 15, 20, 25 homes a month, like an Edgemont or a Tuscany or a Mahogany, which ones have done the best this month? And Edgemont killed it. Honestly, they killed it. They had 40% of their overall this year's total happen in this given month. So yeah, a whopping 25 sales happen in Edgemont. So woohoo! if you're selling up there, or again, you have listings coming, it's looking great, or if you're just looking to get a CMA done up in the Edgemont area, you're going to do well. And then the last one would be Ogden. Overall, Ogden had a great month. It had a great month because it sold about 50% more than it normally does. It has very low inventory. It's very active. They're having a lot of trades. I think it was 17 sales. Now, don't quote me on that. So overall, it did really, really well. The most lowest inventory communities right now, one of them I already mentioned, which was Bonavista Downs, but the other two are Chinook Park and Fairview. So again, kind of that Chinook, McLeod area is doing really, really well. Fairview makes a ton of sense for me because, again, it's got a fantastic price point, great little bungalows close to downtown. And Bonavista Downs, as I already said, it had a killer month and sold a lot through. So guys, that's it. Those are kind of my State of the Union, most interesting things to note, hottest communities, and a little bit of stats as well. If you wanted to know anything specific about a certain market segment, a market community, a part of the city, let us know, because I've got a lot more data here that we would love to share with you. Again, and reach out, comment, and share along. The other thing I wanted you guys to know is we're almost at our Stampede Breakfast time. So it's our 4th annual Stampede Breakfast. I hope you guys can make it. It is on the first Tuesday of Stampede between 8:30 and 10:30. I don't have a calendar handy, or else I would tell you. Hold on. That is July 11th, 8:30 to 10:30. Come one, come all. Share it out. We usually have about 500 guests that come by, and we love it. Live music and painting for the kids, hay bales, and your friendly neighborhood Redline agent. So thanks guys for tuning in. Watch again next month, and hopefully this was adding some value to your day. Bye bye.